Absolute hate being in front of the camera. So today we have Jade Asha, hope I pronounced that right,
Yeah.
British Mauritian actor, writer, producer, podcaster. You're building your own lane in the indie film world through projects, Ghosted, Due Dating. But you're not just performing in the work, you're actually getting them off the ground, you're creating them. So for people who know you first as an actor, what pushed you into the writing and producing your own work?
So I started acting about 20 years ago, and being half English, half Mauritian, those were the days where people would look at me and go, oh, she's Indian. Oh, she's Arabic. So all my auditions, I'd have to do an Indian or Arabic accent. And that's literally like, I'm British, I'm English. That's how I'm born and raised. It's like any white British person being asked to just do an Indian accent, do an Arabic. And I'm like, oh, this is horrendous. It's so embarrassing. And I was up against people who are genuinely from those places. So I had no chance. It's only really been the last 7-8 years where I've actually started having opportunities like Londoner or Northern, which is where my family's from, which are a lot more comfortable. So for me, I was like, okay, what do I do? I really admire these people that there are people out there that write their own work, and that sounds really cool. I want to do that. So I started writing my own work, and then you realize you're at the bottom of the pile again, right? Okay, no one wants to produce my work. Okay, I better maybe learn to produce my work. And also looking at the hierarchy of things, I kind of went, hang on. So the actors go to the casting directors who kind of work for the directors, but they work for the producers. And I'm like, well, if the producer's at the top, I need to learn how to do that. So that's kind of where my journey began, really.
And at what point in your acting career did that light bulb come on?
It was kind of like it was hanging around for a while. I went through a stage where I was like, right, I've got to stand out. Like maybe I'll get a special skill. And I kind of really loved I thought it was really cool the women that did action stuff. So I started training in stage combat, and then I tried stunts. I can't even do a forward roll. It was ridiculous. But I was like, I'll have a go. But while I was doing that, I met this group of people doing the stage combat course with this company called RC Anu, and a few of them were like, well, we own our own cameras. And someone else was like, well, I can write a script. And I was like, you can do this stuff? That's all it is? It's like, you just need someone with cameras and you just need someone with a script and you can do stuff. And we did. We literally, someone wrote a story and we put in like 50 quid to get our own costumes, and we got in a van. We drove 12 hours or like 10 hours to Scotland. And we literally, I would never do this now. We camped on the side of a cliff top. It was like a sheer drop down to the sea. It was bloody freezing. I would never do this now. And we shot a film, like a 30-minute medieval fighting film, in 2 days. And it was so much fun. It was so much fun. And that was my first experience of like, you can just do it yourself. And so it was really inspiring. It was because I was working with people that just were like, yeah, we could just do it. Well, try it like this. This is cool. Or they do it like this in films. And I was like, wow. And I haven't really come across people that do that for quite a long time, actually. But so it was just luck that I happened to work with people that would just so like, just do it. And that became my attitude.
And isn't that a problem with a lot of indie filmmakers? They make all these excuses. I need this camera, I need this actor, I need this, I need that. And then they never do anything. And
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's not just filmmakers, that's actors as well. That's like, there's a lot of creatives. There's this expectation that I guess we've seen it in films that this is what happens, and I'm like, well, that's not what happened. And actually, if you do enough research and you look back at how filmmakers started, usually they have just gone and done it, or and especially if you like listen, like which I do, I listen to loads of podcasts and get information as much as I can from everyone, and they're all just like, this advice is the same. It's just like, just do it. Get a few friends, get some people that want to do it, and just do it. Because oh my god, no one's going to give you £8 million for your first feature. Probably no one's going to give you £8 million these days for your fifth feature. It's a different world. It really is.
Yeah, and I think it's hard for a lot of first time filmmakers to get over that fact that no one's going to pay you to do a feature. You got to get up and do it. Now, you also, before you got into producing, I remember when we used to talk in Clubhouse back in the day, you had written the book for actors that was basically the same: get up off your backside and just get it done.
Yeah. So because again, everything's always been hard for me. Like I'm just that person, and for whatever reason, it's just like nothing's ever come to me the way you'd expect it to. So I've always just had to work, and I've had to fight for anything that I'm doing. And just along the way, I got I learned so many things, and I was like, God, I wish someone had just told me this at the beginning of my career. And I just thought, it's always that thing. I kind of have this mentality of you should do that thing that you're going to do tomorrow today. So, and just do it, because you just don't know what's going to come of it. And I was like, the audacity of me to write a book. Like, who the hell am I? But then I was like, well, I have been doing this for, like, at the time, like it was like 16, 17 years. And I think it was lockdown. And I was like, I'm just going to see what happens and start doing it. And it's been amazing. And I, like, to this day, I get people just contact me and be like, I read your book and it's exactly what I needed to hear. And it's so nice to hear that someone else is going through what you're going through. I think that's a lot of what I do, is like, I go, I want this right now. It doesn't exist. Let me create it.
Yeah, and that's a good attitude to have. And it was something was said to me early on when I got into film: if you want work, you got to make work. And it's very, very true. So, I assume then when you wrote the book that there was lessons that you put down on the page that you brought forward with you into making films and getting things done.
Yeah, so it's called actorpreneur, and I just heard that term quite a lot, and I kind of thought, oh, I like that. I'm going to use that. And it was kind of like I just kind of started from the beginning. I was like, okay, right. So it starts with like, so you want to do this? And then I'm like, well, are you sure you want to do this? Because I'd really recommend doing everything but this, because this is really hard, and you're gonna go through it. But so only do this if you have to. So that was the first stage. Then I was like, I kind of thought, well, what's next? I'm like, well, you could go to drama school. If you want to go drama school, these are steps you take. If you don't want to go drama school, these are. So for me, it was like almost like a roadmap. I'm like, and then what you need your headshots, your show reel, you need spotlight membership, how to, if you don't go to drama school, how to break in and do that. And then it kind of went through to, okay, so how do we make our own work as actors? So for me it was all obvious, and even I covered things like attending premieres, and like doing your own PR work, because for me all that stuff helps, but I don't see many people like doing that kind of marketing for themselves, which as a filmmaker, for and what I'm learning even more and more now that I'm being pushed into, I want to hire the most talented, best people. I mean, that's the dream, but the reality is now I'm selling films. Who's in it?
Yeah,
No one. In your next film, get someone in it, and you're like, oh. So yeah, it's just the there's some harsh truths.
yeah, it's build your audience before you sell your product, isn't it? It's very much difficult to get people interested. And I have a couple of films in distribution, and the exact same question: who's in it? How are
Yeah.
you getting bums on seats? And you're like, well, they're all up and coming faces. Like, they have to start somewhere. Um, I was amazed by due dating and the story behind it, and I was just like, crazy woman, you're 7 months pregnant and you're making a feature film. Were you
Mm.
not under enough torture and stress without that?
Oh my God. So that was our second feature film. So I'd
Yeah.
already done one. So that helped having like, I know what it's like. And we were about to just do like some ridiculous rom-com, and then I got pregnant, and I was like, right, I've got this crazy idea which might not work, and I think it's really, really stupid doing this, but I also think it's a really amazing opportunity, and I don't see why no one's done this before. So yeah, I had a meeting with my director, and I said, look, I'm literally, and at the time I was like 2 weeks pregnant or something ridiculous like that. So it's far too early to be making any kind of assumptions. But I was like, I just found out I'm pregnant. I'm due here. I have this crazy idea. And like, I'm so overwhelmed. Like, I feel like my whole life is going to change. This is the scariest thing I've genuinely ever been through. And I'm terrified. And I'm like, I really think that it would be such an interesting story to look at a pregnant woman who's dating, because also at the time, obviously I was probably getting targeted whatever's at me, but I was seeing stories about there's a pregnant woman dating, and then the comments underneath, you just can only imagine what people were saying about this woman. And I was like, but you know nothing about her, you don't, like, there's so many different situations that could have happened here. So yeah, I kind of, we had in our heads I was due in March, and we were going to shoot in January, because obviously, if like low budget filmmaker, January is a great spot because no one's doing anything. It's not great for weather, but it is great for no one's doing anything, so everyone's kind of available. So we were like, right, let's aim for January. And I think like the first 3 months of my pregnancy, I was just going through hell, and I was like, I can't even write anything. And then, but I was going to like, I was going to the baby groups, and then I was like seeing the moments. Like, I remember there was this one time I was crossing the road, and a car got really angry, and I was like, I literally was shouting at this car because I'm like, I'm pregnant, like, da, 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 da. Like, it was just all these things were happening, and I'm like, oh, that's really good, I'm going to put that into the script. So somehow I threw a script together in literally 3 months, and I was like, well, this is quite terrible, but I'm sure we'll sort it out as we go. And then I never did. It was, which is funny now, because I look back and think, oh, that was probably like the worst script I've ever written. And the feedback, everyone's like, this is so brave, it's like redefining rom-coms but in the best way. And I'm like, what? This is ridiculous, because there's things that I've spent years and years on going over each single line, and this, I just literally threw it together. And yeah, we pulled a load of people together. They kind of got the idea that I was like, it's super low budget because we haven't got time to raise a budget because I'm pregnant. So we don't have time. We've got to shoot this now. You're in or you're out. So yeah, it was, we self-funded that one, and we shot it. And the crazy thing about it was, like, I've not been pregnant. I could have gone into labor during shooting. I could have lost the baby months before. Like, we had no idea, but I just went for it. And then what I did do though was, I usually probably would have have this character have more scenes, but I was like, no, I need another actor, and I need them to kind of carry the film for me, because I'm gonna have to rest. I can't, like, even though I am lead of this, I need someone else to carry this through. So that's what I did, and it all worked out. Like, he actually wasn't, he was on holiday the first week, so I was like, oh, I've got to do all my scenes in the first week. But actually it was great because I was knackered after the first week, so he was all the second week, so I got an easy week. But crazy, it worked out, and it's so beautiful and wonderful. And then funnily at the premiere, well, not a premiere, we did a special screening, I've had like 3 people go, that's how I met my wife. I was like, what? It was like she was pregnant at the time, and I was like, oh, this is more normal than, you've never heard of it. You think it's a massive taboo thing. I thought it was, but no, it's something that really happens.
That's mental. People, yeah, you wouldn't think of that because, yeah, no, I'm not even going to go down that road. That's
it's a whole other thing.
It's just that's just a rabbit hole if you start looking at that.
Yeah.
So, quite the experience being 7 months pregnant, being on a film set, going through everything you're going through. You must have learned a lot about your own resilience and get up and go attitude.
Oh, well, it was just really funny because it just happened. Like I was kind of a normal size. Everyone was like, "Oh, you're tiny, you're tiny, you're tiny." And then Christmas happened, and it's like I tripled in size. I think the first day of filming, Daniel, the director, walked in, and went, "Whoa!" And I was like, "Brilliant, thank you. I feel great now, don't I?" I was like, in my mind, I was like, going to be this pretty person. I was like, I just was humongous, and for me, it was really like I was like, I don't want to be on camera. I've always kind of like, been a bit of like the romance or like, sexy girl, and this is so far away from being sexy girls. I felt literally like a big old slob. And I was like, it was really painful for me as an actor and my vanity. It was really painful. And I was like, oh, I hate being on film like this. But then I was like, I know I have to do it because I know I have to do it for like other women that are going to go through this, and or even actresses that are going to hide themselves away for years. And it's not fair that like a man can be in a film and oh look, they put on lots of weight, aren't they amazing, and then they lost it lots again. A woman, oh my god, she's so fat on film, kind of thing. So I just felt like I was like, no, I need to go through this. And I think years down the line, even though I hate going through it now, I'm going to be really proud. And like now, like I am really proud that I did it. And it was really hard. And as soon as we finished filming, I just did nothing for 2 months. I was like, I'm done. But it really carried me through my pregnancy, and it was actually really good for me because mentally it really just kept me in a good place. And even till now, like I've had another son since, and the film's only just getting released. Like obviously these things take years.
Yeah.
So it's given me something to do and like look like I'm really busy, but actually I'm raising 2 little kids.
That's cool. So you said there that you felt the script was possibly the worst one you've ever written.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back on it now, the process must have been very simple because you were living the experience as you were writing it. And you were saying about the car beeping at you when you're crossing the street and stuff like that. So do you still feel the same way about the script?
No, I mean it was easy, but it's easy because, and I think sometimes you think that something's if something's good, then it should have been hard. It's like I work really, really hard, so it's really, really good. But actually, that's not the case. And I guess I was working hard because I was living the experience, like you said. So it was kind of like I was just living the research. And even like sometimes when I shoot my own films, I'm like, oh, I didn't do much character prep, and then I'm like, yeah, but I wrote the thing, so I've been prepping for the last 2 years. So no, I now I look back and I'm like, oh, that was really clever. But there's elements of like, oh, that was really good. But yeah, it's just a funny old thing. I just you know really, really, really think it's a lovely film, and it makes people leave the cinema and they kind of like they carry it with them. They think of it, and it leaves them feeling good, which is actually like yeah, it's done what we wanted it to do.
Yeah, and that's always great when audiences tell you that. That really made me feel something.
Mm.
Um, talk about writing what you know.
That's all I do. That's all I do. I think someone must have given me that note really early on in my career because that's all I do. So yeah, I think my original first film, which has never been made, it was called Charlie, and it was based on um, a job that I did. I was like a massage therapist in different like locations in London. I worked in casinos, I worked in stockbrokers' offices, and I just met all these crazy characters. And I was like, what if you had a female drug dealer who was like, she was a massage therapist, she would go undetected, blah blah blah. So it took me like 5 years to do this. And we nearly made the film. Actually, I had like it was like 900K gone into it, and we nearly made it, but then all the investors pulled out last minute, and I wasn't the head producer, so it just kind of went so that was like probably the most biggest accomplished. And then when I was like mid 20s, I was just dating loads, and I was like, I love a rom-com. And so I just kind of had some crazy experiences, and I thought, wow, maybe like I'm just going to write these down because these are ridiculous. And then a director came to me, Daniel Paquette, who I do all my rom-coms with, and he was like, Jade, like, you know, that other script we were going to shoot. And I said, well, that's quite dated now because you have to watch it with rom-coms, like, especially like with the, like, how the female movement's going. You have to really like stay up to date because you can become very old fashioned very quickly. And that felt quite old fashioned still. So I said, well, I've been working on this script. And he was like, yeah, love it, let's do it. So we, you know, that was another one that I was like, well, it was kind of based on my experiences. And actually, when we did PR on that, that was the film called Ghosted. When we did the PR on that, that was like a really strong hook that the PR company, and they actually like, there's some of these awful stories in like The Sun saying like, I'm the real life Bridget Jones and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It's like they kind of make up quotes, and I'm like, I didn't say that. But it was like a hook, and people like it. You know, you got to have a hook. So, you know, and probably the most, you know, obviously due dating, you know, that absolutely wasn't me. There's nothing about that character that was me, but I felt and I experienced what she was going through. So obviously that helped. And then we did another feature called Hang, which is a horror film, and it's a 17th century witch film. And with that, I actually had one of the lead actresses in Ghosted. She was like, her family had seen what I created with Ghosted, and the whole, you know, press buzz around it. We had like a Leicester Square premiere, and they were like, well, we'll be interested in putting some money into a film. So with that project, I actually wrote the whole film around the lead actress I had, putting me in as a role. And then what we both like, what our strengths as actors. And then we had a location as well, which didn't end up being the location we filmed in, which was very stressful. But that was, again, I was like, working with what I already have. And actually, I have a few scripts where I've gone, oh, like I've got a garden center and I've got a house and we've got a car. And that's like where we are at the moment when I write stuff. You know, I'm not going to write a submarine because I'm like, well, that's going to be stressful. Even though thinking about it might not be. But yeah, generally, I kind of work with what we have locations wise.
Yeah, I think you've hit on a key point there for a lot of first time filmmakers. I'm sure you get scripts sent into your production company, and they're like massive budgets. They have 400 locations, you know,
Oh,
in the desert. Yeah, in the desert, Buckingham Palace, all these crazy places. And what you're saying about working with what you have is very important for independent filmmakers when they're starting out. It's, if you have access to a farm, use it. If you have access to an apartment in London, use it. You know, that's really important. So, which was Ghosted a rom-com as well? Yes.
Ghosted was a rom-com, Hang was a rom-com, and Hang is the horror.
Or so with your rom-com catalog, do you find it difficult to sell them to producers without having well-known and established names in them? Is that hard to get them across the line?
Well, because we self-produce it, everything's made in-house. So no, we agree to everything we offer ourselves. No, no. So everything I produce is literally like me producing it. So you know, that's not too much of a problem. When it comes to sales, and reaching out, you know, once we get to the other end and sales agents, and now we're kind of moving on to bigger budgets. Especially the way the market is at the moment, they're all like, who's in it? And I have seen some clever ways of people doing it. But the problem is like I just think the way that I do things is I'm like quite morally strong on things, and I'm like, no, we just need to always like make sure morally we're doing things correctly. So I hate the idea of someone getting paid more than everyone else. Um, but I think I'm just gonna have to shake that that issue because yeah, I yeah, you do, you do need a name. It helps, but then sometimes it doesn't, because I see a lot of people then adding names, but they're more like bigger followings, and they haven't got like a strong industry reputation. So it's kind of hard. It's like, do you do what's going to excite the sales agents, or do you want to do what excites the industry? Because the industry, there's a great actor called Tom Burke. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's got like 3,000 followers on Instagram or something, and he's humongous. He's like leading all like the best films, but he doesn't do any social media for himself. But the industry will be like, wow, he's involved, so they'll jump at it. But sales agents are a bit like meh, meh, kind of like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's a funny one.
Yeah, I remember having a conversation, it's a good few years ago, with an investor. And that was the very first question, was, how are you getting bums on seats? And we had a YouTuber kind of attached to it, and she had, I think it was 12.5 million people on YouTube at the time. And you could just see cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching in the investor's eyes, because he realized, right, she's a YouTuber. She has the built-in audience. So, even if I only get a third of them to watch the film, it's still going to generate income, which is important, obviously. On the sales stuff then, with the latest film, Hang, it's a horror, huge audience for horror. How are you finding, you're just back from Cannes, were you selling that in Cannes, or?
Yeah, that was interesting. So this is my first, I'd say it's my first Cannes as like a grown up. So usually I'm like turn up with a suitcase full of dresses and I'm running around taking photos and videos. And I was like, I didn't do any of this time. I was in my flats. I was running around the marche. I was like, I didn't get any sun because I was indoor the exhibition. And I just had back-to-back meetings with sales agents, like investors, buyers, whatever. And oh God, do you know what I'm learning with this whole thing is every project is individual, and they like it or they don't. Because we, even though we've made a horror, we've made a period horror, and they don't like that. Well, or some people don't. Some people do. It's just like, I think with whatever you do, you're going to get some people go, oh, I love this. And some people go, meh. It's like, everyone says go make horror. And then I've had sales agents going, oh, the horror industry is so diluted at the moment. Like, and then I even had like some really rude sales agent who was like, he sat me down. He was like, so what is it? And I was like, 17th century horror. Oh, a period film. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. So some, like I said, and then I've had some people go, oh my God, have you seen this? Look at this. Okay, send us the film. So like, and we have had offers. But how I see it is like we've had no sensible offers. So we have had offers, like, we could have agreed to something and put it out there, but it's your baby, isn't it? You want the best for your baby. So yeah, we've got people watching the film, and even like, with the, it's funny with the rom-coms as well. We have had, we did get a sales agent even for the one for Ghosted, and that really, in terms of things, did really well. It got a UK distribution, it got American distribution. I even had, like, the other day, more people from Europe interested in showing it. And then I got, again, with the due dating, we got theatrical, like we have a UK distributor straight away. We've had offers again from America. We've just not gone for any because we want to see what UK's doing first. It's all like a bit like Tetris, really, and it's all like lining it up and trying to make it all fit together. And then the same with Hang. Like I said, lots of offers, but like not always the ones you want. So it's kind of like, it's funny because whatever in level you're at in this industry, you're always going to have rejection, and
Yeah.
you get a lot of rejection as an actor. And I thought, well, I'll get less as a filmmaker. You get even more rejection because you have so many people you've got to reach out to. Like, you're going to get rejected by all the sales agents, by all the agents, and like the actors' agents, or like people. But then you're going to get a ton of people emailing you going, please just give me something. Yeah. So, but if it's not the person or the thing that you want, it's like, meh. So, yeah.
That's the thing, isn't it? If you're not getting rejections, you're not trying hard enough. That's the way I look at it. You know, that like if every film you made was easy and sold straight away, there'd be a lot of crap in the world. Now, there's a lot of crap in the world anyway, but there'd be even more, I think. And especially with all the advancements in technology that we have now, and with AI coming down the road, I have a feeling the industry is going to get saturated with just rubbish.
Just the way people get excited about AI just gives me the ick so much. I'm like, ew, why do you want that? Like, you know, me personally, I don't like superhero films because there's just so much fakeness in them. Like, what I love about a film is I want to see humans, I want to see human connections, I want to see something genuine. And I think deep down, everyone really does like connect to the things that are genuine and authentic. That's what we all are attracted to, whether we realize it or not. So when someone's like it's like, for me, it's like you're basically watching a cartoon. If something's all AI generated, it's basically like a really human looking cartoon, in my opinion.
Again, another rabbit hole that we don't want to go down, but it's crazy. So you're on your third feature now, Ghosted, Due Date, and Hang. What are the biggest lessons you've learned from Ghosted right up to your most recent project? Other than filmmaking is not easy.
Well, post-production is the hardest bit, obviously, which I don't think anyone realized. I just saw someone writing, they're like, oh my God, make it like pre-production so hard. I was like, wait till you get to post-production. It's ridiculous. I've learned about the deliverables. I feel like that's one of the most traumatic times of my life, was when we had to do the deliverables for a sales agent. That's not for the faint-hearted. But I've taken that, so I know that from doing that, you just make your life easy. Just make sure you absolutely have everything, every location, every person, every piece of music. It's like you've got the contracted. And even if you do use stock stuff, make sure you have a proper contract that allows you, because even it's like, yeah, I think we've used stock music for one of the films, and then like, you know, the editors used it, and then I'm like, wait, but you don't have a proper release form. That means we have to go back and either replace all the music, or you need to get me that file. And we left it like a year, and I was like badgering them for a year, and I was like, look, you have to do it, otherwise I'm just going to get all your music replaced. So it's, yeah, you just have to, because you know that it takes that one person to be like, oh, I didn't sign my contract, so give me 10 grand, like, you know, 100% that. Keep things simple. Keep things simple. I think that's in terms of actors, less characters the better, less locations the better. And yeah, don't listen to anyone else, in a sense. Like, if you've got an instinct and you believe in something, just go for it, because it's all down to your vision, and you've got to be the one. If you're producing, then you've got to be the one that carries it through to the bitter end, and everyone's going to flake off. They're going to come in and they're going to grab onto you, and they're going to grab onto the snowball as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're going to hang on for a while, and then it's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller, and they're going to flake off. No one's going to help you, and it's just going to be you at the end. And yeah, it's difficult and lonely, but you absolutely just have to push through. And there's always going to be a moment when you go, God, this is really hard. Should we just sack this off and have an easy life? And when you get to that moment, push through, because you're gonna get to the end and you're gonna go, thank God I didn't give up at that moment.
Yeah, I'm kind of at that point with a documentary now at the minute. Um, it was 28 minutes long, which is in that really odd territory. And I've sent it out to a couple of people. The duration is the thing, right? Keep telling me too long, too long, too long. And I'm like, it's only 28 minutes.
Yeah.
Someone take it. So yesterday, I went in and hacked 5 minutes out of it and sent it out now again to one distributor that's interested. But I think if you're not willing in post production to make sacrifices to your project, you're going to end up with a project no one will ever see. And you're right about post production is very, very hard to get right. Your audio needs to be bang on, and your grade and everything. And what you're saying there about chain of title for all your contracts and stuff, I think a lot of first time and even second and third time filmmakers forget how important that is. And they don't have a release for this location, or as you said, this actor never signed. Oh, they're only on set for a day, it'll be fine. It's not.
Oh, it's my friend. It's my friend. They'll definitely sign it. Oh, they won't. They'll go rogue as soon as someone sniffs money or like
Yeah.
anything like that.
I have to think at all you're going to find a home for it and it's going to make money. It's like, I never signed my contract, or something will come up. Oh, you promised me this or you promised me that. And yeah, it's a nightmare. So with you've jumped away from rom-coms with Hang and you've made a horror. Was that a big leap?
I mean, I obviously act in most of my films, even though the roles are getting a bit smaller, the more tired and the more children I have. But rom-coms are fun to film and they're easy. Horrors are hard. It's long hours, it's bloody nighttime, it's mud and rain and disgusting things, and it's stressful. I mean, the really lovely thing is everyone loves working on our sets. In fact, I was like having trauma because, with this one, like it's great because when we do the rom-coms we set them in London, everyone can go home at the end of the day. With this horror we were like in Cornwall, so when people came down, the actors came, they had to stay with us, and the most affordable thing, they've got to stay in the building we're filming in. And I was just getting anxiety because I was like, I had my child with me. I had to put him in the film because, again, like I've got to have an excuse to have him with me. Oh, he's in the film, so he's got to be here. But I absolutely was not having him staying this rickety old place. So we stayed away from everything. But every time, someone turned up to film, I was like, oh my God, they're going to hate me. They're staying in the place. I'm going to get all these like emails from the agents going, why are you not treating them properly? So I was stressed about that. Then I came back and I'm like, why is he still here? Well, he shot 3 days ago. Oh, he just wants to stay. I'm like, what do you mean he wants to stay? Like, I couldn't get rid of actors. They're like, can I just stay for a few days? I'll help. I'll help with costume. I'm like, what is going on? Like people loved it. So yeah, that was different because like I had this expectation because it was a hard shoot, people want to leave, but they like didn't, they wanted to hang around. But yeah, I would say horror is just harder. It's harder on the performers, but you can also be a lot more rough around the edges in terms of stuff. There's a lot more like happy accidents you can come across, but it is nicer working on rom-coms comedy because you're just laughing all day. You know what I mean? It's like you go home and you had a right old laugh with the crew. So it is very different. I think, yeah, definitely more enjoyable shooting a rom-com than a horror. And like you have this feel-good feeling. Um, yeah, it's just different. But then I'm like super proud of, like I love horror, but I love them both. I think with both of them, you give the audience something immediately. It's like, I love horrors because I'm the biggest scaredy cat in the world, but I can be scared in a safe place in the cinema when I watch a horror film. So I get a lot from it. And the same with comedy is just like, you're having a bad day, you kind of like, you're lifted up. And I've heard people say that rom-coms and horrors are the same thing, just with different music, like performance wise, because it's all like really big reactive performances. So they're just different, but I do know that when I do horror, it's going to be a lot of hard work.
Yeah, no, they definitely are. So what's on the slate for going forward now that you have Hang finished and you're on the road to distribution?
You know how it is. You kind of always want to do bigger and better the next time, and especially like the state of the industry. You think, oh God, like I really want to like improve what we do and get bigger and better, bring more names on, and kind of grow in that sense. And it is just really, really hard at the moment. And part of me is thinking, I'm like, do I just like it's been 2 years since we filmed anything. Like I really just want to stay consistent and keep doing something. So if we have to kind of like go guerrilla again and just get something done, then we might do. But so it depends. We have another rom-com. The original one I was going to do with Daniel, we've updated it and it's in a good place, and that's like a really fun one, but it's a very big cast and it's around London. Then we've got a psychological thriller which is with the same people from Hang, and that's in a really lovely place that's like ready to go as well. So that's just like we've got quite a nice budget for that, so we're just still building upon that. So yeah, that's actually planned for November. And we also have yeah, we've got like some low budget horrors as well, just as some options to go. But then I've got like an Oscar Wilde drama that kind of like we would be in the vein of like Romeo and Juliet without the musical, like Baz Luhrmann style kind of thing. So, and I have a documentary as well. So it's just kind of like I did some work with the like I did some courses with NFTS in my downtime, and they taught us as a producer, you want to have a slate and you want to have all kinds of films, because we've had quite a few times they'll be like, oh, we're actually looking for family films at the moment, or we're looking for sci-fi. So like actually what I'm trying to do is make sure that I have something for each genre. And so when an opportunity comes, because they do come and they don't come often, but when they do come, I can be like, I've got the project for you. So even though we've probably got 6 or 7 films like in a good place, some at various stages, like I think 6 or 7 scripts ready to go, but then you've got to package them, you've got to attach cast to them, you've got to like do the in-depth budgets. I've just trained again with NFTS in accounting, so like I've learned to do movie magic properly, which is like a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just like, and it takes time, especially when you've got a family and stuff. So I'm just like, each of those things I'm like, okay, well, right, those 2 are ready to go, but I know that one's not got a budget, or that one needs some cast attached. So I'm kind of like trying to give them all a bit of attention and just like keep them growing. And then so when the right thing comes along, I'm like, let's go, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's really important as a producer, that you're only as good as your last project. And if people forget what the last project was, you're starting from scratch again.
Yeah.
So keeping that momentum going, do you find that hard to keep the momentum building? And
No, I love it. I like it's an addiction for it really is. Like I've got problems. I'm addicted to the film industry. I'm addicted to the acting industry, and it like it's my purpose every day. Like I wake up and like I love having kids, but I've gone from 100% of my time to about 98. Like no, they've got 98% of my time. I've got about 2% of my time. So I have about 2% of the time that I usually have. So I'm stressed all the time because I'm like, yeah, I just need to do this thing and I just need to have this ready. So yeah, I love having it there. I am like just constantly anxious that I want to be moving faster, but saying that, everyone seems to think that I'm super busy and getting things in good places. So it's like with producing as well, a lot of stuff can be done just via a message or via a text message. It's like it's essentially your project managing. You have to be a very good project manager, and that's what the job is. So, you can kind of like you can have several things going on at once because you're like, well, it's over. Yeah, as long as everything when it comes into your court, you throw it back out again. It's always someone else's. So you're always going, hey, where's the script? Where's the update? Hey, where's this? Or like, when's this coming? That's how you got to do it. If something's there and it's your responsibility, then you're the problem. So I never just want to be the problem. I'm kind of like always make sure I'm telling someone else off. But yeah, like I said, I've got much less of my time now. So sometimes I am the thing holding us back. But yeah, trying my best.
Yeah, no, it's hard when you have family life in the background and you're trying to balance everything. It can be quite difficult. Like I'm kind of the opposite to you. You're doing a lot more producing, where I'm directing a lot more, and I seem to spend about 11 and a half months out of the year pitching projects, and
Wow.
the other 2 weeks begging for money. It's almost the same as producing. Now that's an exaggeration. Obviously, 11 and a half months pitching. I'm not that bad. But it is that kind of circle that you're making something, you're pitching something, you're looking for your next project, and people don't see that work in the background. Like we had a guy on recently, Adam Smith, who is building a whole universe around a TV show he's producing. 129 cast and crew on set. Like it's a huge project. And he was saying the logistics is what he finds the hardest,
Yeah.
on every project. Which I know. So for first time feature filmmakers or those about to step into the world, um, what's the one bit of advice you'd give them at this point in time?
Just start doing something. Just get your script. You can't polish it forever. Or even just like, if you're not fully sure about your script, find a story, or you can even just find something like a lot of people do that's like in public domain. So like, start with a Shakespeare story, rewrite that, or there's tons of ideas, like use like a fairy tale, or just find a really good story, find something that you love, and just start talking to people about it and start gathering your team. And like I said, the snowball effect will happen. And I'm doing it in several projects now. I'm kind of like going, oh gosh. But you kind of just go, right, with like, this is happening, this is a date I'm happening, are you in? Because people get FOMO as well. They're like, oh, you're doing a thing, well, I don't want to miss out. So, you know, yeah. And, there's a lot of great people out there, really talented people that just want to do something because they love it. I think you, you've got to love it. And you can tell when people don't, because they act a bit silly. That's another thing. You're going to have a lot of difficult conversations, and it's not fun. But if something's not working with a person, get
Yeah.
out of that relationship. Like I've had it with a few, and even now I'm still end up in situations I'm like, oh, how's this happened? Just, you've got to be absolutely clear on who does what everyone's position is. Even I started working on a project that I was really, really excited about, but the persons whose story it was, they were just a bit all over the place and wishy-washy, and I was just like, this is not going to work. Like, I need full rights. Yeah, you've got to have whatever you do, make sure you've got the full rights, because like I said, people get a bit crazy or like, they change their mind, and you don't want to do a load of work on something and then they go, oh, actually I've decided you need to pay me 50 grand for this kind of thing, and you were meant
Yeah.
to do thing. That's why, like, I've never produced anything that I haven't written for that reason.
Makes life a lot easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I know that everyone can't, and I've been advised that I need to start producing other people's work and make my life a lot easier. But you've got, I've got the script, so I just kind of think, oh, well, just, yeah.
I remember when I started in the industry, I had a guy send me a script. It wasn't a bad script now, in fairness. But we hadn't even made a feature film at this stage. And he also sent an invoice for €200,000 for the script. And he hadn't done anything either. It was his first script. Like, so you're just like, hello. But yeah, I think the big thing is, first time people getting into the industry, don't wait for permission. Just get up and do it. Isn't that it? It's
Yeah, I think as well, you just got to make sure your team are all on the same page about what this is and what budget it is. Because again, I've worked with things and I'm like, oh, like this is like a $1,000 project for like a little, short film, and they're like moving like it's a 20 grand project. So everyone's got to be very on the same page. It's like, no, we're not removing the front door, and we're not putting my sofa outside, and just we're not actually getting an aeroplane. We're going to have a sound off set. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. People are very quick to spend money when it's not their money they're spending, and then the producer or the filmmaker, whichever, is left picking up the pieces and paying the bills.
I mean, unpopular opinion at all as well, but if you're not willing to put your money into it, how do you expect someone else to?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, especially when, like, I mean, I used to deal with this with crowdfundings. If I did a crowdfunder, I'd always like be the first to put in like 500 quid to kick it off. And like, yeah, maybe if, it comes back, then I might lose like, £50 in in fees or whatever. But it gets the project going. And again, it's you saying, well, I'm in, so are you in, kind of thing.
And that's it. If you're not willing to invest in yourself, no one else will. It's fairly simple that way. Look, Jade, you're definitely a filmmaker and not a film talker, which is great in this industry. There's enough film talkers out there. So if people want to find Jade, where do they find you on social media and that?
I am Jade Asha, JadeAshaa, or you can search for London Independent Pictures. Website www.londonindependentpictures.com. I just want to give a shout out, actually. I am starting an events like this event for filmmakers in London. We did one last month. We've got another one coming. So any filmmakers, actors, producers, just industry, it's like, I met you guys on Clubhouse, and I have so many people on my socials, but I haven't met them in person. So it's just kind of giving a space to try and get the industry meeting, connecting, and making things together. So yeah, check out the website, and if you want to come to that, drop me a message and I'll let you know. You should come, but you're far, aren't you?
Give me an excuse to go to London for a weekend. Just on that point, actually, what's the indie scene like in the UK? Is it vibrant? Is it subject to the studio system as well, or?
It's hard. Everyone is, even indie filmmakers that I know that they've been doing quite well for like 30 years. Like, they are running crowdfunding now. It's just, it's like, it's funny because the way that we've been making films is the way that now everyone is starting to make films. And it seems like it's very much, and especially like this is the talk at Cannes, it's like no one's willing to invest in it anymore. You've got to make it. You've got to somehow make it yourself first and then sell it. So yeah, it's like, it's a weird time, but then there are people breaking through. Even God, I can't even remember the name of it, but like A24 just like battled for what's that film with the sounds? I can't remember what it's called. It was a funny one. It was a horror film. I haven't seen it. It looks too scary, actually. Anyway, we'll have a think about it. But it's yeah, that the guy, I was listening to a podcast about that filmmaker, and he literally shot in the house where his parents died, and he used his own money to fund it. He said it was under $1 million, but I think it was actually quite a lot under $1 million, the way he was talking as well. But yeah, and even I Swear as well. That was I think it was the producer, like, he put money against his own house to make that film, which I wouldn't recommend anyone do. I wouldn't go that far, especially you've got a family. But it seems to be the way people are doing it. So, just the buzz is there. Someone else pointed out to me, they're like, well, someone's getting the money. Some people are getting funded. There is money around.
Yeah.
You've just got to know the industry. There's a lot of co-productions going on, but funds are like the lottery. So it's like, you've got to be in it to win it. But again, someone's got to get it. So we're just all going because we love it, really.
Yeah, and I think that's important about battling through it. Like, if you're not making stuff, people are certainly not going to want to know who you are. At least if you have 2, 3, 4 feature films or projects under your belt, they know you're there for the long haul and that you will put the effort in to complete projects. Whereas, it's better than the individual that's, oh, I'm making this film 5 years down the road. I'm still making this film and they've never done a thing. It's hard for the rest of us.
If I was investing in a film, I would 100% choose the person that's done 5 films over the person that's done none. So you just got to get those first few over the line.
Yeah, by any means necessary.
By any means. And there are means, because I hate to say it, but we've all got phones.
Yeah.
Not that we want to, but you can. You can.
Yeah, that's it. It wasn't a Tangerine won Sundance a few years ago. It was made on an iPhone. So, again, comes back to the story. Is your story good? If it's good, people will enjoy it. Jade, thanks a million. And we'll have to get you back on once Hang hits mainstream. And have a
love it. Yeah, thank you so much. This is great. I've really enjoyed this.
That's brilliant. Jade, definitely a filmmaker, not a film talker. Talk to you soon.